Welcome back, Aluxers. Today we've got one hell of a feast to serve up to you. That's because we're going to be talking about fine dining. First, let's be clear what we mean when we say fine dining. We're not talking about nice, stylish bistros with a laid-back atmosphere and where the prices are a little above average for your neighborhood. That's a casual dining restaurant. Maybe even a classy one, but not fine dining. We're talking about the seriously upmarket eateries for real food connoisseurs with wallets to match their sophisticated taste buds. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. There's no definite price that qualifies it as fine dining, but just to give you an idea, in the USA, the cost of a fine dining meal will generally be above $50 a person, probably closer to $100, just for the food. Once you factor in the wine, it'll probably be double that, if not more. Needless to say, you won't pay that kind of sum just for your daily intake of protein and vitamins. And while the food will taste great, there's more to fine dining than that. It's about the whole dining experience, in a way that's on another level from any casual dining restaurant. And we're going to be looking at what that experience means, as well as answering our big question. So let's see what's on today's menu and look at the 15 reasons fine dining is so expensive. Number 1. The kitchen staff. We're talking the highly skilled chefs who are capable of serving up food that's worth Michelin stars, and they aren't going to work for peanuts. Definitely not after getting a degree from a prestigious culinary school and then doing years of training under well-known chefs, all to get to where they are today. And it's not just the higher salary for each chef, it's also the fact the restaurant will be paying more people to do the cooking. Fine dining menus are more complex than casual dining ones, which means you'll need more staff to prepare the food. A head chef, then a sous chef, that's the second in command, then a whole team of chefs working under them. And all of this means that for each plate of food served, the combined salaries of the people who've cooked it are going to be high. Number 2. Preparation time. Fine dining means that each item on the menu is more sophisticated and more time went into preparing it. That could mean more ingredients and almost certainly a bigger number of food preparation processes, from fine chopping through to poaching, braising, sautéing, glazing, and expertly seasoning it at the end. Each of these is done by highly skilled hands with minute attention to detail. And let's not forget the presentation. You've seen those photos on Instagram of fancy food that amazes you with the intricate knife skills that went into it. Well, that level of presentation is expected in fine dining, and you've guessed it, it adds up to the preparation time and the price too. Number 3. The waiting staff. It's not just the kitchen staff who needs to be at the top of their game. The people who greet and serve the customers are going to have to be consummate pros too. The servers need impeccable people skills, etiquette, and knowledge of the food being served. That means being able to advise diners about everything on the menu without using notes. In other words, the highest paid servers in the business. You'll also need a maitre d'. That's the host who greets the diners, shows them to their seats, and guides them through everything. And the fine dining experience is also about pairing food with wines or other drinks that match perfectly. And that's why you need a specialist in this field of knowledge, the sommelier. Or if it's a bigger restaurant, a whole team of sommeliers. Number 4. The cutlery, tableware, and glassware. You're not going to serve the finest food out of any old plates. The dishes and utensils it comes with have to reflect the same quality. Often fine dining restaurants have tableware custom made to fit their look. All of this adds to the cost that owners have to invest, and of course, it all ends up on your bill. Compared to casual dining restaurants, we're also talking about a larger number of utensils. When it comes to fancy eating, you'll have separate knives and forks for salads, fish, and meat. If it's your first time fine dining, this can be a bit confusing, which means it's probably a good idea to brush up on your fine dining etiquette beforehand. Also, there'll be separate glasses for water, red wine, and white wine, and champagne flutes. True connoisseurs will also tell you that wines from Bordeaux and Burgundy should be served in separate types of glasses as well. For the restaurant to invest in all of these fancy items, it costs money, and you've guessed it, eventually works its way onto the check. Number 5. The interior decor. Everything we've talked about so far has been about minute attention to detail, all aimed at making a unique and unforgettable experience, and there's no reason this is going to be any different with the first thing you notice: the way the place looks, which is why fine dining restaurants need some high-end decor. Typically, the restaurant will have a signature look, whether it's minimalist with a focus on natural elements like wood and stone, the natural world with a focus on plants or the sea, or recreating the opulence of years gone by, with full linen table service and a few chandeliers thrown in for good measure. All of this will be planned out by an experienced designer or architect, and a few original artworks will be expected too. So with all of this combined, we're talking some pretty steep upfront costs for the restaurateur even before they've opened. Number 6. The ingredients. Finally, we've gotten to what actually goes into the food, and no prizes for guessing. Everything has to be of the very best quality possible. In some cases, this means rare, expensive ingredients like pâté de foie gras, beef carpaccio, or Kobe beef. When it comes to vegetables and fruit, the focus will be on what's fresh and in season. And it'll cost more than what you get at the supermarket, but usually not that much more. But often it's the head chef or sous chef who goes out to buy them to make sure they get just what they want. And that means paying them extra hours to do this. Number 7. The complex menus. We've already said that individual dishes in fine dining restaurants tend to be complex, but there's something that can add a whole new layer of complexity on top, what are called tasting menus. That means not just your standard 3 courses, but sometimes 10 or even more small intricate dishes, which add up to the ultimate dining experience. Not all fine dining restaurants do tasting menus, but when they do, it means more courses for chefs to prepare, more ingredients to buy, more waiting staff to make the extra trips to the kitchen and back, more plates to put it all on, and more cutlery to eat it with. Yes, tasting menus create a truly memorable experience, but they sure do add to the logistics behind it. Number 8. Complimentary dishes, drinks, and other services. Another part of the fine dining experience is being served a small complimentary dish at the beginning to set the tone and give you a taste of the chef's style. In fine dining circles, it's called an amuse-bouche, and it might come with a drink also on the house. Of course, when we say complimentary or on the house, we don't mean the owner is shelling out of their pockets from the kindness of their hearts. It's factored into the price. Some fine dining restaurants take complimentary services to another level altogether. 11 Madison Park in New York, known for being one of the world's top restaurants, employs staff known as Dreamweavers. It's their job to find out as much as they can about diners before they arrive, to customize their experience and make it totally unique for them. A lot of planning goes into this. No wonder a dinner for 2 there usually costs over $1,000. Number 9. Top-range kitchen equipment. To do all those fancy things to the food, the chefs aren't going to be using pots and pans and knives from the local hardware store. They're going to need real, top-of-the-range equipment, from Japanese artisan knives and sharpening stones to cast-iron skillets, top-of-the-range blenders or tools used by high-end chefs like vacuum machines and shock freezers, and of course, the very best ovens and cookers. This is another upfront cost that will see its way onto the check. Number 10. Top-shelf wine and spirits lists. If you're eating food that's been expertly crafted by the world's greatest chefs, you're not going to wash it all down with a $15 bottle of wine. Only wines and spirits from the world's best vineyards and distilleries will do. In fact, it's in the restaurant's interest to serve high-end drinks for more than one reason. Namely, the drinks menu is often what they make the most money on. That's right, the cost of everything that goes into the food is so high, it's difficult for them to make a bunch of profit on it. But a high-end drinks menu can easily be transferred into big profits. In some cases, 80% of what the restaurateur takes home. Number 11. High levels of cleanliness. You would hope that any decent restaurant, scratch that, any restaurant at all has good hygiene, but fine dining restaurants have to be absolutely sure, so they go to greater lengths, like employing more staff to do it and sending all the linen off to professional cleaning services. Number 12. Fewer serving hours. A typical casual dining restaurant will open around midday and keep on serving well into the evening. It does vary, but fine dining restaurants often have fewer slots available and may not open until later in the day. That's because so much preparation goes into the food. Often chefs will be preparing all day for a few slots in the evening, and some dishes even a couple of days before, and because serving is so much more labor-intensive and they can't deal with as many diners. Put all of that together and it's not hard to figure out. More intensive work for a smaller number of customers all adds up to a higher price. Number 13. Location. This one doesn't need that much explanation. If you're one of the fanciest restaurants in town, you'll need to be located in one of the most desired locations. And that means you've got one extra factor adding into your running costs: the high rent. Number 14. Staying at the cutting edge of food trends. When you go fine dining, you expect the restaurant to be up to speed with the latest gourmet food trends, whether it's seaweed, acai berries, spirulina, or ancient grains that have been just rediscovered. If you're a head chef, you don't just need to be keeping up with the trends, you'll be expected to own unique interpretations of them. Of course, this means extra effort, and on the plus side, more opportunity to show your creativity. And the fact you're doing something with whatever's trending means that sophisticated diners will pay a higher price for it. Number 15. High levels of attention to detail to absolutely everything. And now for the last point on the list. Basically, it's all the other points repeated to create an experience that's worthy of being called fine dining. It requires incredible attention to minute details at every single step of the way. From the things that have to be in place from the start, like incredible decor that will leave an impression, the best quality kitchen equipment, cutlery and tableware, to the things that need constant attention along the way, like selecting ingredients, creating new menus, maintaining top customer service, even things like getting the lighting right. To be on top of this, you will need the very best people in every position on their toes all the time. It isn't easy to do, and it all adds up to the cost. But at the end of the day, all of those things combined are what makes it fine dining. Now, Aluxers, we're curious. Whether it's fine dining or not, what do you think makes a truly memorable dining experience? Let us know in the comments. And of course, for sticking with us until the end, here's that bonus we owe you: higher profits. There's one final factor that adds up to the check at the end of the evening. Profits in fine dining restaurants are higher than casual dining ones, and these profits are something that fine dining restaurateurs expect when they go into the business. Just think of all the expenses the investors have to pay up front. Starting with the decor and design, even before they've got a single diner through the door, they're taking a big risk. Yes, they do it partially because they're passionate about gourmet food and fine dining, but they're not doing it just for that. The rewards need to be higher too, and this is factored into the high cost for diners. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question on our website, Alux.com. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.